Everybody. I'm Informal Geek, and I'm here to continue talking through my top 100 favorite board games, targeting specifically 60 to 51 in this video. Uh, just another quick disclaimer, like I've been doing for all of these videos. If you want to talk about any particular game in the comment section, be mindful of spoilers. So try to reference, instead of the game title, the number in which that game landed in this list. And then again, if this is not really where you want to start, if 60 is not the right spot for you, I did include a link in the description taking you back to number 100, as well as a link to the overall playlist. All right, let's get started now. So we're going to continue playing the game, or at least offering you guys up the ability to play the game by showing you teasers for every game in this list. This may be just enough for you to know exactly what this list is. Maybe you know all 10 of them. Maybe you don't. Who cares? Let's just have fun. So I'm going to get started with that, and then we'll break down the games individually. So number 60 on my list right now is using this component. Here's 59. Oh, I should probably zoom in. Again, sorry about the fuzzies on some of these. Here's my 58. And my 57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, and 51. All right, let's jump into it. So my number 60 is called Automania. And this game is such a fun game. It is all around, making and selling cars. And what's really fun about this game is it uses a very similar mechanic to Century, the Endless World, I think, where you put some workers down in a spot and other people can take that spot, but they have to put one more worker than is already there, giving you back your workers that you can then use on future turns. So I really enjoy that. It's not really outbidding, but you know what I'm talking about. Like it's kind of like an outbidding mechanic. Anyways, so when you are setting up the board, these spaces are filled out here, and this is where you're going to be spending your workers. So for example, if I wanted to get this assistant right here, right, I would have to I'd have to put some workers like this, for example, right here, and I'd pay $2 or $4. I went down this route here to get it. And then you're going to be adding them either to your player area if they're the assistants, pay for them. If they're upgrades for your cars, you have to allocate which car gets the upgrade. Or if they're assembly line enhancements, and you put them in the assembly line. And so what's really interesting about this is, for example, if I were to make this SUV type vehicle, it's going to pass through these assembly lines, giving it a star, nothing, and these seats. If I went for the sports car, it would be the seats, a star, nothing, a star, and out. And then this little mini car would be like just this one and this one, following the gray path. Okay. So however many stars you earn along the way represents how valuable or how attractive that car is. So for example, and before I even go into that example, there's like these revolving markets. So on the European side, you're going to be getting more victory points than you are money. But if you sell it into the America side, you're going to be getting more cash than victory points. So at some point, you're going to be making that deliberate switch. And right now, the revolving market is showing that you're going to get 4 stars towards that attractiveness of that car just by having these seats in there. So maybe I would either want to build the blue car or this yellow car. I mean, it's all yellow, but you know what I'm saying, following off the yellow track. If I did that for this car, it would be worth 5 stars. So when I went down here, I'd pick the 5-star track. So 5 stars doesn't really give me anything. It'd be nice if I can get it to 6, because at least I get a victory point for it. And these are the decisions that you're going to be thinking about is, well, maybe I should go after this double star component and throw it in here. Maybe throw it in here. So if I build this car, this round I would get 4 stars for this, plus the 1, plus the 2, plus the 1. And that turns it into a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, an 8-star car. Suddenly I'm looking really good over here. Oh, I wish I can get to 9. So like this is the type of stuff that's really fun to figure out is, how are you going to continuously upgrade or even override components in your assembly line, get you the assistants that give you more cash or more more workers or more stars overall. Just having this guy in here, you pay for him, just having him in there. No matter what car you build, you're gonna get an extra star for it, or getting an extra victory point when you build this car. Like, all of that's really fun, and you get a forecast of how the market will change every round. So after this current round that's being shown, these completely drop off, and now whatever this thing is goes from a 3-star to a 4-star, and this becomes a no-star to a 2-star. Like, trying to plan that out is really fun, and competing for spots because everyone's working towards the same market is again, it really feels like it's a really good family weight game, and even competitive. Like, you don't have to be a family to enjoy this and get really tense and tight on this stuff, but it's really fun. I really enjoy a lot of this of what this game offers, and that's Automania. My number 60. Let me get a quick sip here. Okay, my number 59, using this guy, is called Fantastic Factories. Now, this game does have 2 small box expansions. I don't remember what the names of them are, but there's a green one and a red one. Don't get the red one unless you really like messing with not elimination, but interacting with other players and blowing up their factories. Don't get it. But the green one's awesome. I'm not able to show it to you right now, but there's an extra component that comes in the green box that lets you manipulate your dice. It's a +1. It's a -1/+1 token that you can get, and it'll just let you mitigate your dice rolls. And so this game is all about, at the very beginning of your turn, you're going to choose from either a worker or a construction card or a factory card. And then you roll all of your dice, and then you begin to just begin to plot them out wherever you want. Everyone has the same board. I mean, this is not in English, but that's okay. There's a lot of symbol, like, you don't need to see it in English. But if you can put any dice you want there, and it'll let you draw cards. Over here, you can get energy, but you can only place 1s, 2s, or 3s. If you want metal, you need 4, 5s, or 6s. But if you can put multiple dice of the same value, you get bonuses. So here we've got 3 4s. Had we put 3 4s here, we would have gotten 3 metal, 1 for each dice, plus an additional 2 because all 3 of them were the same number. So these 3 dice give us 5 metal. Maybe that's something we really want, because whoops, I didn't mean to flip that over. But all the cards have a certain cost over here that you need to pay. So, for example, to build this one, you need 1 metal, 2 energy, and you have to discard a different card in your hand that shows that blue hammer symbol. You do that, you can build this card. It's worth 1 point at the end of the game, and now you've got new action spaces. So here it says, doesn't matter what value dice you put there, you need to put 2 of a kind, very similar to this scenario. And then you can choose. You can either do that to get 4 metal or 7 energy. That's insanely powerful. There's cards for short straights, single dice, 4 dice, whatever you want to do. Like here, for example, takes any dice, and let's imagine you put a 2 here. So it's 2 plus cards that have the same number, so 2 cards will let you draw 2 cards and get 2 metal. So, like, all of this manipulation of resources, if you like that kind of stuff and you want to throw in a little bit of some dice placement, then this is, I think, a really good time. And it's really, everyone mostly does their turns simultaneously, so there is a little bit of that. Oh, this does have that expansion. I didn't see it. Here's that symbol I was talking about. Plus minus, it looks like a medicine pill, but it's there. Yeah, it's a really fun game. It doesn't take too long to play. Really simple to teach. It does have a multiplayer solitaire type of feel to it. And there's a lot of ramp up near the end because everyone's getting victory points with these supply crates. And the only interactions are really what's going on in the market. And some of the cards actually do things for you. You know, you do something for you, and then your opponents get to do something as well. So that there's a little bit interactive there. But yeah, it's really fun. Really chilled out game. And that is Fantastic Factories. Again, I don't remember what the name of the green expansion is, but get that if you're going to get this base game. It's not essential, but man, it really is. It really should be. It's really good. All right, moving on to my number 58 is a new game to my list, and that is Northgard. I ended up with the Kickstarter version of it. I'm a little bit of a fan of the PC game, so I had bias coming into it. I knew I was going to like it because it is a it plays a lot like the video game. Again, I don't know why I'm finding all the arts that's on in English, but it plays a lot like the video game is, where it's like an RTS, like StarCraft or whatever. You're trying to control areas of the map and get points, and you're building up units and upgrading units and stuff. So they kind of replicated that into a board game format, but using deck building as your main mechanism to play the game. Now, that can be hit or miss for a lot of people because you don't have full control on what you're going to do during your turn. You are limited to your cards, but all of the cards are pretty handy and useful. There's a lot of options that you can do. So, and then everyone has a unique faction that has like a unique power. So there's different avenues of winning. Usually, the game will end after you get to 7 rounds and you see whoever has the most fame points. But the game can also end. I'm not really able to show it to you, but there are these big buildings that you can build on some of these spots. And if you can build 3 of them and control all 3 zones at the same time at the end of your turn, then you win. So it rewards combat. It rewards being the attacker. So turtling is definitely not going to help you out in many of these games. So if you've got a fun group of people that can have fun with this without being that won't be, get too offended, because it is the nature of the game. If you tap into the spirit of the don't know why I didn't mute my computer, but if you get into the habit of listening to or thinking about Vikings and that kind of thing, then I think you can have a lot of fun. And especially if you know the video game, I think that will just make it simpler for you to know what to expect. And again, I have the Kickstarter version of it, which basically just comes with a couple of modular expansions, and they add enemies and sort of like NPCs to the map, which again comes from the video game, where you're exploring the lands and there's probably wolves on it, or the undead, or Draugrs, I should say. I think even Valkyries are a part of this game too. I don't exactly remember, and they'll go and attack the players based off some criteria. So it's I think it's really fun. I would not consider it 4X, but there is a good amount of exploration tied into this game. And so, I really like it. That's my number 58, Northgard, Uncharted Lands. Now we're going to shift gears entirely because this is a brand new game. We're going to talk about a pretty old game. And this is Kashgar, Merchants of the Silk Road. Now, I know what you're saying. He's thinking it too. God, this game is not a looker. To be fair, there are definitely games with worse art than this. But if you can get past the aesthetic, if you can get past the look of it, this game is so clever. You have these columns of cards and different card abilities and powers. There's this whole starting hand, and then you upgrade cards and whatnot. So sorry. You're going to always play the card that's showing in one of the columns that you select, and then for the most part, that card goes to the back of the line. Okay. And on your next turn, same thing. You're going to choose a column and then axe the card and do whatever it says. But you're programming these things. So there is that programming aspect of it, and planning and so on, but there's a lot of engine building tied to it too. Also that you can boost certain resources as you go up the tracks and complete contracts. I don't have a great picture of it here, but this is basically showing you what tracks you need to have a certain value on. You get, including having a donkey, and then you're going to get a bunch of points. And so it's just a matter of getting points and having the most points at the end of the game. But figuring out this puzzle with engine building and kind of programming with a little bit, I wouldn't say deck building, but it's kind of like a deck builder because there's a market of cards and you're getting cards to add to these things. But yeah, it's really fun, and it feels really rewarding. Regardless if you win or lose, it feels really rewarding when you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to trigger this ability, then I'm going to trigger that ability, and look at that, I've got, a bunch of resources, and I'm going to complete that contract you were hoping to get. So Kashgar is such a unique game that I've always enjoyed it. There's nothing else I can think of that's like this. They use similar things, but nothing is as unique as Kashgar. It's a really special game, and I really like it. And that is my number 57. and then we're going to go right back to a brand new game. Even more brand new than Northgard is Coffee Rush. This game is so fun. It's so fun. And I originally bought it because it was a reasonably cheap priced game with some really cute components like the clear cups, and you're putting resources into it. It's not a Kickstarter game, and it's not a like a fancy upgraded kit or anything like that. It's just a base game. I think the game was like $35. So you're getting really, really interesting and fun components for a game that doesn't cost a whole lot. And I think it's just interesting how it all comes together. Here are the resources. Yeah, so what you do on your turn is, or on your turn, you're going to have some cards already built out in your order, right? So you're emulating your own little restaurant or coffee house. And so on your turn, you have your worker here on the board, and you get to move it. I think it's 3 or 4 spaces. I forget exactly. I think it's 4 spaces. And you can only move orthogonally, right, up, down, left, right. And whatever you land on, you immediately get. So if I were this green person, I can go over here to get ice. I can over here to get milk. I can go over here and get this, I forget what it's called, but these leaves. But I can't end my turn there, so I could even go backwards and get more cream or more milk, or I can go forward and get some coffee. Like, that's how it is. You can never, you can always go through a space that has another worker, but you can't end your turn there. And if you have any of these extra coins, you can go an extra space or so. And so once you get those things, you allocate them to your cups. Once they're in your cup, you can't move them around. It's very similar to pouring a drink. If I add creamer to my coffee, I can't later be like, you know what, I changed my mind, let's pull some of that creamer out. It just doesn't work. And so you're trying to fulfill these orders for what these people want. And time will pass every round. They will come down. And if you don't do a good job of giving people what they want when you leave the end of 4, you're going to get negative points or dislikes. And there's a little bit of the strategy is sometimes you'll purposefully let a card that's kind of expensive or poorly timed, and you'll take a negative point to get a coin that you can then roll into an extra movement, which makes getting another order completed faster. So not the end of the world if you lose a pointer here or there, but I've seen that strategy work. And once you get 3 completed orders, you can turn in those 3 victory points. You can get rid of them immediately, or for the, they're gone. You're paying 3 victory points to get an upgrade, which will give you 2 victory points back. And these upgrades let you modify the movement rules for the most part, right? You can move diagonally. Before you move, you can activate any of the corners twice. Wherever you land, if it's a basic ingredient, you can get 2 of them. If it's a special ingredient, you can get 2 of them. So like those upgrades are really nice and handy. Yeah, it's just a really chilled out. Actually, even though it says rush in the game, it can get pretty stressful because every time you complete an order, everyone else immediately has to draw a new order card. So if you're falling behind, it's usually because you haven't turned in a couple of drinks and everyone else has. And it's like, holy smokes, all of a sudden I got 5 orders that just came in because everyone turned in cards at the same time. So that's where the rush comes in, and it's manageable though, and it's a lot of fun, and that is Coffee Rush. And we've played this thing, oh my gosh, at least a dozen times since we've owned it for a couple months now. Man, that game is so good. Coffee Rush. All right, moving on to my number 55. This is one of my all-time favorites, and I'll probably continue to love it forever, and that is Imperial Settlers. Now, what I am not going to do is compare this with any of the other Imperial Settlers types of games. They're all fine in their own right, but I just like this so much. I played 51st State as well, and although I think I like 51st State more, I think it does more interesting things. I just don't get it played very much because this is so much more attractive than the other game is. And yeah, if you've never heard of this game, this is Resource Management City. You have a faction. You've got, this is where you put your production buildings, your features, and your actions. You've got to pay costs. You put them down. I mean, there's a lot of card comboing and resources generating, whatever. And every turn, you only produce what's here plus whatever you put out in these buildings. And you got to make it work. Sometimes you'll go to a place and you convert, some wood into some stone, and then you'll roll those stone over to another turn. And I think because every turn is super fast, you're constantly like, okay, I did this thing. I just converted these 2 resources. Go. They go. Okay, now I'm going to use those resources and convert this thing. Okay, now go. Man, it's so fun. And it feels so rewarding to just, there are no cards, I believe, that are out on the board. So you're not really competing. You're just competing with whatever you draw in your hand. So it does have a little bit of that simultaneous multiplayer vibes to it. But it just feels so good to spend an hour with your friends just crunching some resources and seeing how things play out. And there are buildings for sure that you can. There is a little bit of planar interaction, I should say. There are buildings that are I forget the name of it, but there are buildings that other players can go to. So I can take a couple of workers, and instead of spending them on my actions, I can spend them on your actions and do stuff like that. There are ways of attacking other buildings. I probably should have mentioned that probably as well. It's not only single player, multiplayer solitaire. There are ways to definitely go out and force your opponents to lose a building, or force them to spend their resources to what's the word I'm looking for? Fortify their buildings. But yeah, Considerate Settlers is just a classic, and I've always loved it since I played it, and I probably always will. And it's still really high on my list, even though I don't think I played it in about a year, but I still love it so much. And that is Imperial Settlers. Moving on to my number 54. This is one of those games that I love so much because I can't think of anything else that's really like it, and that is Elysium. Man, I would love for them to make some expansions on this game, but this game is so cool because you're going to choose certain factions every time you play, shuffle them up into a deck, display them out, and then on your turn, you're going to spend one of your columns, and whatever column that you have, whatever the columns are that you have left, are the cards you're allowed to purchase. So, for example, if I wanted to purchase this card here, as long as I still have my yellow and red pillar, I'm allowed to get that card. Okay? If I had paid my blue for this turn, then I'm definitely not going to be able to get these 2 blue cards at all this round. And that's very public information, right? And so you're constantly like watching your other players and seeing what they're going to do and seeing what pillars they have and the ones that they don't have, and being like, oh, okay, well, this person used their red one. Okay, that means that these are safe. Which ones are not safe? Okay, maybe I should take one of those first. So you got a little bit of card comboing, lots of different ways to win the game from a victory point standpoint. But that's not even the best part. Not only is there variable turn order, and so these little discs here rotate around depending on what you do. Up here, you can spend a pillar to go up here and do that. You're going to have to do that, I think, no matter what, actually. One pillar will have to go up there. But when you get your cards, you put them on the top of your Elysium here, or I think the Elysium's below. Whatever. You put them above this bar. And while they're out here, you have access to utilize all of their powers. Okay? But while they're out here, they're scoring you 0 points. They will count for 0 points at the end of the game. So before you get to your end of the game, you're going to have to make some tough decisions to say, all right, I'm done using this one. I'm going to actually promote it to go down here. And now you're looking to build sets so that you migrate them from here down to here. And once you've done that, you can get rewards if you're the first player to get, I think it's 3 cards of the same color or the same number. So like 3 3s or all blues, for example, and then you can get these things, these reward bonuses over here, which I think you can even compete for other players. Like someone can get another one and whatnot. I don't remember exactly what the rules are. I haven't played this one in about a year at least, but I don't know of another game that really does this well, where you are going after cards for awesome, really good abilities, and they're only out here giving you no points at the end of the game until you have to just choose to roll it out and be like, I'm done with it. You get points. Like, that is such a fun thing to do. And it is, again, very interactive. And that is Elysium, my number 54. Hopefully you get a chance to give this a try. Yeah. All right, my number 53 is a giant game. I know that the expansion has mixed opinions, but I would say it's a must buy, and that is Sid Meier's Civilization: A New Dawn. Not only did Arc Nova use the same card system, um, but the fact that this was already used or created, I think it was actually created. That mechanic was created for this game. It was really clever how to do that in the way that you utilize a card in order to get a certain amount of I want to say movement through different types of terrain, and from a civilization's perspective. Um, yeah, I don't know how else to explain this. If you know what Sid Meier's Civ is, that's kind of what they emulated in board game format. It is not exactly the same as Civ 6 or even Civ 5, despite some of the artwork being similar to I think Civ 6. The gameplay is very different. Now the expansion changes a lot of the rules, especially around going for the what's the word, the conquering win condition. It really changes a lot of those rules for the better, and that's kind of why I would say to get the expansion with the base game, because the conquer strategy is such a cornerstone win condition for any Civ game that it really needed to be a legitimized strategy and threat that is actually fun to go down. But really, the whole game is about finishing objectives, even though I'm not showing them to you here. And I think that expansion also added more for all of those for that whole entire deck. Anyways, this is like probably one of the heaviest games I have, especially on this list. I have a couple that are probably more than this. Excuse me, but my Civilization is it's so cool. My number 52 is Hadara. This often gets compared to Seven Wonders. I mean, when you look at the iconography, you can see why. But this is not. I would not. I think I would play this way more than I would play Seven Wonders, but I don't think they're a fair comparison. So I'm not going to mention it any further than that. This game is it's kind of like an I split you choose drafting style game where when it's your turn, how do I say this? Let's imagine that this is turn order, right? So they're the Pegasus, and they happen to go first. That means that they're forced to take cards off of this green stack. They're going to get 2 cards. Okay, they're going to look at 2 cards, and they're going to make a decision to keep one and get rid of the other. Okay, there's the I split you choose. So they take the card. They can do whatever they need to do with it. The other card goes here. And now, because this person was Pegasus, this person would go after purple and blue and so on, right? Then this rotates. So now Pegasus would be over here. Now this person would be looking at 2 purple cards. Same thing. Pick one, choose one. And they're going to do this until they go all the way around. Okay? So everyone will have 5 cards. Then, at that point in time, you're going to have a chance to take 5 more cards. You're going to have 5 more turns, basically, where you have access to any of the cards that are now displaying on the discard piles. So you can choose to take this one, or this one, or this one, or this one, and then whatever's underneath it becomes available. So if I took this blue one, then whatever card was underneath this card here would then become available for any other player to do. And so there's a little bit of a memory game to it, where it's like, all right, I really want this card, but I ended up taking this one, but I really want this card. I have to remember that this is going to be at the very bottom of this stack. So I need to make sure I have enough resources to pay for it. I think I need 8 coins to pay for it. So you're like, okay, I have 8 coins, or I don't have 8 coins, so I'll take this card on a previous turn and discard it for some money, because I know that I remember this card specifically, even though everyone had a chance to look at it. I remember when I discarded it. I really want to go after it. And that whole rub between what you can remember and how that fits into your evolving strategy as the turns go on, and at the end of the round, you're choosing to spend points for upgrades or victory points. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do here But it's another one of those games that it's got some meat to its bones, but it's not hard to teach. And I think for me as a gamer, when I think of like heavy games, for example, I want that heaviness to resemble what it's like to play the game, not what it's like to learn the game. So I would identify games separately between heaviness and complexity, especially complexity to learn. So with all of that said, this is a really nice balance between the complexity to learn and the weight of the game to have fun and play. It definitely leans more on the weight to play, but it's not a super heavy game, so that's why I wouldn't compare it to Seven Wonders. I think Seven Wonders is a much more easier game to teach to people, especially if you're new to the hobby. But this is just if you're looking for a step up, man, this is such a cool game, and that is Hadara. And last one for this video is another all-time classic, and that is Skull. This is one of my favorite party games. I don't even think it's a party game, but I call it a party game because I don't usually play games with more than 5 people anyways. This is it's a bluffing game. And what's nice about this is you can have fun playing a bluffing game without having to rely on how well you lie. You don't need to do anything. And everything that you do, it helps you. Like, if you happen to be someone who's terrible at keeping a secret, that's okay. You're still going to be fine. Because this game just makes it so simple to play. So the way this game works is everyone has 4 discs. One of them is a skull. 3 of them are flowers. You have access to all 4. When it's your turn, usually you have to put one, before the round starts, everyone has to choose one of their discs and put it face down. Doesn't matter what it is. Only you know what it is. And then in turn order, the person has to either add one more disc to their stack, or they make a bid for how many discs they think they can flip over without revealing a skull. So let's imagine 4-player game. There's immediately 4 individual discs laid down. First player adds one, second player adds one, next player says, I think I can turn over 2. Then the next player says, well, I think I can. They have to outbid you. You have to either say, I can flip over 3 or more, or you pass and you're out. There's no more adding discs at this point, right? And so someone will usually say, well, I think I can flip over 4. And it's like, all right, great. And you're like, damn, I didn't want you. I wanted someone to outbid me because I knew that I played a skull in my pile. And so sometimes that happens, and it's like, oh man, I wish I didn't, maybe if my other player did outbid me, all I did was bump it up. And there's a lot of mind games in this. It's not so much the bluffing that really gets you, it's the mind games and the consistency. It's like, okay, well, if this person just bid 4 and they have 2 in front of them, I think I can do 5. Maybe, and so you have to, I think the rule is that you have to start with your own stack first. So you reveal your own stack, and then you can pick and choose the individual players, and you can bounce between the player stacks. But if that person said that they can do 4 and they've got 2 on their stack, I think they're safe. So I'll do my 2, then their 2, then I only have to pick 1 more. And it turns out they had a skull in their pile and they just totally bluffed me. Man, this game is so fun. It's so easy to play. Anyone can play and have a really good time. It's not super competitive. I mean, it can be, I guess, depending on your game group. But you can play with kids. You can play with grandparents. You can play with anyone who's not a gamer just to kill 20 minutes. This is such a classic, fun game. I love Skull. I'm really glad it's my 51. All right, we are officially done with the bottom half of this list. I don't know if you can believe it, but I sure can't. This was a lot of fun to do so far. And look at all of the 50 really awesome games that I've called out. And I know I'm looking at my shelf right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, these games are not even on my list. But it's so good. So I'm hoping this has been fun for you. We're going to go ahead and close radio now. And so yeah, if any of these games resonate with you as something you want to try, or if you've got fun memories about it, you feel free to let me know in the comments. But again, be mindful of the spoilers of the name of the title. Just add a number. and then we can discuss from there. So thanks for watching. I hope this was fun for you. And more importantly, I hope you're finding new games to go and check out and see if they're fun for yourself. So for now, I'll leave you alone and say thanks for watching. Bye-bye.